There's something people always misunderstand about Capricorn. They assume that silence means softness. That patience means passivity. That restraint means you've gotten away with something. But Capricorn isn't ignoring you. They're watching. They're calculating. They're remembering. While you're busy playing mind games, trying to control outcomes, twist stories, or manipulate emotions, the Capricorn is silent. But don't mistake their silence for surrender. It's not weakness. It's war in slow motion. Capricorns are ruled by Saturn, the cosmic judge, the master of time, the keeper of karma. This isn't just zodiac poetry, it's a celestial fact. When you try to manipulate a Capricorn, you don't just provoke a person, you awaken an ancient force that doesn't believe in revenge, only in divine correction. And here's the most dangerous part. They won't yell. They won't beg. They won't even warn you. They'll just step back and let time, truth, and karma do their job. The betrayal you thought went unnoticed. The manipulation you thought was clever. The story you twisted in your favor. Capricorn remembers all of it. And they're not planning a reaction. They're building a response, one so precise, so karmic, and so permanent, that by the time it lands, you won't even realize it came from them. This isn't about pettiness. This is about cosmic order. So today, we'll uncover 12 powerful, spiritual, and psychological reasons why you should never try to manipulate a Capricorn, and how, when you do, you won't suffer instantly, but slowly, silently, and inevitably. Each reason comes from real Capricorn traits, but also carries a life lesson for all of us. Because how a Capricorn responds to betrayal reveals more than just personality. It reveals how the universe itself handles those who lie, control, or deceive. Let's begin. Reason 1. The memory that never forgets. Capricorn doesn't keep grudges. They keep records. The first and most dangerous mistake people make when trying to manipulate a Capricorn is assuming they've forgotten. They haven't. They won't. They never do. You see, Capricorn's memory is not emotional, it's strategic. It's not the kind of memory that flares up in anger or fades with time. It's quiet, cold, unshakable, like a mountain. The moment you lie, deceive, or twist their reality, they don't explode. They file it. They remember what you said, the exact words you used, the date, the shift in your tone, the way your story didn't quite add up. And while other signs might lash out immediately or cry in frustration, Capricorn stays still, stone-faced, unreadable. But make no mistake, they are processing everything. They are building a mental archive that stores not just your actions, but your patterns. It's not about revenge. It's about evidence. They don't just remember what you did, they study why you did it. They understand motives better than most therapists. They observe your habits like a scientist in a lab. And what they're looking for isn't drama, it's confirmation. Because once Capricorn knows you're a manipulator, they don't confront you. They calibrate around you. I knew a man, a Capricorn real estate developer, who was betrayed by his closest associate. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was subtle. Hidden clauses. Quiet backroom deals. For a full year, he said nothing. He kept smiling. Kept meeting deadlines. Kept delivering. Until one morning, that associate showed up to the office to find himself locked out of every project. Every partnership dissolved. Every investor redirected. All without a single word from the Capricorn. And do you know what that Capricorn said when asked about it? I just paid attention. Because that's what makes their memory terrifying. It's not fueled by bitterness. It's fueled by clarity. They don't act on impulse. They wait for patterns. They don't accuse. They accumulate. So while you're sleeping peacefully, thinking your manipulation worked, the Capricorn is reviewing your entire history like a forensic analyst, remembering how you move, what you say, how you lie, and what your actions reveal about your character. And here's the scariest part. They don't just remember you, they remember how to replace you. Because when a Capricorn sees you as a liability, they begin preparing your absence long before you realize it's coming. Life lesson. Never underestimate the power of quiet observation. The ones who don't speak, don't forget. And the ones who remember, don't always come back to fix it, they simply outgrow you, outmaneuver you, and outlast you. Capricorn's memory isn't about holding on to pain, it's about protecting themselves from patterns that repeat. And if you become one of those patterns, your story in their life has already been closed. Reason 2. The long game they always win. You thought it was over. They thought it was just beginning. One of the biggest miscalculations people make when dealing with a Capricorn is thinking short-term, while they're already planning 5 moves ahead. When you try to manipulate a Capricorn, you're not playing checkers with someone trying to win today. You're playing cosmic chess with someone who doesn't even care if they win this year. Because the truth is, Capricorns always play the long game. They're ruled by Saturn, the planet of time, structure, and delayed rewards. And you can feel it in how they move: quiet, careful, never rushed. Their patience isn't just personality, it's spiritual strategy. You might think you got away with it. That lie. That move you made behind their back. You saw no reaction, no confrontation, no explosion. But here's what you missed. While you were celebrating your clever move, they were planning your checkmate. Capricorns don't react impulsively because they know something most people forget: real consequences don't need to be immediate to be effective. Sometimes, the most powerful lesson is the one that arrives after the applause. When the moment is quiet. When you're most vulnerable. When you need them and they've already stepped away. I once knew a Capricorn woman who worked in corporate law. Her junior partner tried to discredit her in front of the board to climb faster. It seemed to work. She stayed silent. She congratulated him. She kept smiling. For 6 months. Until the day he needed her signature on a multi-million-dollar deal. And she said, in the most composed tone, "I trust you'll manage." Alone. That deal never happened. That partner, no longer employed. And Capricorn, promoted without saying a single negative word. Because the truth is, Capricorn never needs to destroy you. They just need to give you space. And wait for your own actions to destroy themselves. They know how to let things unfold naturally. They know that truth always surfaces. And they know that people who manipulate will eventually dig their own graves if given just enough rope and just enough time. Life lesson. We live in a world that celebrates speed. But Capricorn reminds us, power lives in patience. They teach us that the ones who win the race aren't always the loudest or the fastest, they're the ones who never stopped thinking 10 steps ahead. So if you've tried to manipulate a Capricorn and nothing happened, don't get too comfortable. The game isn't over. In fact, it's only just begun and they're already ahead. Reason 3. Consequences calculated, not cried out. Capricorn doesn't throw tantrums. They build responses like architecture. Cold. Solid. Permanent. When someone manipulates a Capricorn, they expect a fight. They expect confrontation. Explosions. Tears. Emotional chaos. But that's where they make their first mistake. Capricorn doesn't react like a storm. They respond like an architect. And their form of justice isn't loud, it's precise. They don't waste energy on emotional outbursts. No screaming. No sobbing. No dramatic text messages. Just silence. Calculation. And a slow-moving machine of consequence that you'll never hear coming until it's too late to undo. See, fire signs might lash out. Water signs might drown in their feelings. Air signs might debate and overanalyze. But Earth, especially Capricorn, does something else entirely. They calculate. They assess the offense, the intent behind it, the danger it poses to their structure, and then they act. Not to hurt, but to correct. Not to punish, but to restore balance. Because for Capricorn, justice isn't personal. It's cosmic. It's not about getting even, it's about returning to order. Let me tell you a story. There was a Capricorn entrepreneur who discovered her business partner had been subtly siphoning funds, covering it with clever paperwork and charm. She didn't fire him immediately. She didn't even confront him. She watched. She audited. She prepared. And 3 months later, she revealed everything, not to him, but to the legal department and their top investors. He didn't just lose his job. He lost his reputation, his access, his network, his image. And she didn't say a word. She just let the truth do its work, like a blade sharpened in silence. That's how Capricorn handles betrayal. They don't react, they redesign. Because to them, the best consequence is not one that causes pain. It's one that teaches a lesson. One that makes you realize exactly how your own actions carved the very hole you're now falling into. And they do it with eerie precision. The consequences Capricorn allows to unfold are often proportionate to the manipulation, not more, not less. That's what makes them dangerous, they're fair. Fair in a way that doesn't look emotional, but feels inevitable. So while you're assuming you've escaped because nothing happened yet, what you don't realize is that they're already setting things in motion, a chain reaction of events designed not to crush you, but to clarify who you are to yourself and others. You won't just face the outcome. You'll understand why it happened. Life lesson. When someone hurts us, we often want to explode. But Capricorn shows us another path, a path of restraint, wisdom, and strategic clarity. They remind us that the greatest power lies not in destruction, but in discipline. Because real justice doesn't scream. It simply arrives. Right on time. Right where it hurts. With nothing left to say. Reason 4, the network that silently shuts you out. Capricorn won't ruin your name. They'll just stop mentioning it. And suddenly, no one remembers you. When you manipulate a Capricorn, it's not just about what happens between the two of you. It's about what happens in the invisible web around them, a quiet ecosystem of power, influence, trust, and loyalty that most people never notice until they're cut off from it. Capricorns don't build loud, flashy social circles. They build networks. Quietly, carefully, strategically. They cultivate deep-rooted relationships with people who matter not for clout, but for substance. Mentors, CEOs, thought leaders, lawyers, investors, elders, gatekeepers. Their circles aren't always big, but they're tight and full of people who listen when Capricorn speaks, or stays silent. So when you cross a Capricorn, don't expect them to start a campaign against you. They won't smear your name. They won't gossip. They won't even warn people. They'll simply pull back their energy, and the people who trust them will feel it. And that is when the doors begin to close. The clients stop calling. The introductions stop happening. The invitations vanish. The spotlight fades. You're not being punished. You're being excluded from a structure you didn't even know they built around you. Let me share an example. A Capricorn woman I once coached worked in the nonprofit world. A colleague manipulated a fundraising deal to make her look incompetent and take credit for her work. She didn't fight back. She didn't make accusations. She just stopped vouching for him. She stopped mentioning his name in rooms that mattered. She quietly skipped the referral. She allowed his own actions to echo, and in the silence, people listened. 6 months later, his opportunities dried up. No one knew why. He blamed bad luck. But the truth? He had been disconnected from the source, not by force, but by withdrawal. That's the power of Capricorn's network. It doesn't attack you. It forgets you. And once they've decided you're no longer trustworthy, they remove access to the real asset, their credibility. Because when a Capricorn steps back, their allies do the same. They don't need to speak badly about you. They just don't speak your name at all, and the silence spreads like wildfire. Thought balloon life lesson. Not every punishment is loud. Sometimes, the most devastating consequence is being left out of the room where your name used to open doors. Capricorn teaches us that real power doesn't have to roar, it just needs to withdraw support. And when it does, people notice. People step back. And eventually, so does your relevance. Reason 5, the truth seeker who sees through everything. You lied once. They saw 10 more you didn't even realize you told. When you try to manipulate a Capricorn, you're not just crossing someone with a good memory. You're crossing someone who is built to detect patterns, decode inconsistencies, and track motives like a master strategist. Capricorn isn't emotional about betrayal, they're clinical. Once something feels off, they don't explode. They investigate. Quietly, intelligently, thoroughly. You may think you pulled off a clever manipulation. That clever twist of words. That strategic omission. That one-time white lie. But what you don't see is this. The moment you lied, you triggered their system. Capricorn doesn't chase drama. They chase truth. And when something doesn't add up, they don't ask you for answers, they watch. They observe your behavior, listen to how you talk about others, compare your stories, check the timeline. They start connecting dots you didn't even realize were on the board. You think you fooled them. But in reality, you just opened a file, and they've been documenting your story ever since. I once worked with a Capricorn in government compliance, cold, calm, respected. When a coworker tried to shift blame for a failed report, the Capricorn said nothing. Just nodded. 3 weeks later, she delivered a full internal timeline, cross-referenced emails, time-stamped meeting notes, and even screenshots of project updates. She didn't yell. She didn't accuse. She presented the truth and let everyone in the room draw their own conclusions. That coworker transferred. The Capricorn promoted. Because Capricorn doesn't need to make noise to prove they're right. They simply expose the facts and let the silence do the work. What makes their truth-seeking so powerful isn't just how much they see, it's how quietly they act. They don't announce investigations. They don't parade proof. They simply wait until they've gathered enough to never be questioned. And the scariest part? While they're collecting facts about you, they're noticing patterns in the people around you too. They might uncover things you've done to others, lies told years ago, inconsistencies in your narrative that even you forgot. By the time they're done watching, they know you better than you know yourself. Life lesson. Deception may be momentary, but truth is patient. Capricorn reminds us that truth doesn't need to chase applause. It only needs to be revealed at the right time, to the right people. So if you ever think a Capricorn didn't notice your manipulation, ask yourself, are they ignoring it, or building a picture that's about to expose more than you expected? Reason 6. Silent boundaries, permanent exile. One day you were close. The next day, you're locked out. And you never saw the door close. When most people set boundaries, it's loud. They make speeches, draw lines in the sand, demand change. But not Capricorn. Capricorn sets boundaries the way they handle everything else. Silently, deliberately, permanently. You may not even notice it at first. They still say hello. They still act polite. They might even smile. But something is missing, something you can't name. Then one day, you realize the access you once had is gone. The conversations got shorter. The invitations stopped. Your name is no longer on their list. And somehow, everything feels colder, but no one raised their voice. That's how Capricorn removes you. Without drama. Without warning. Without second chances. Because to them, once trust is broken, it's not just a crack. It's a signal. A re-evaluation. A trigger for recalibration. You've shown them who you are. And now, they're adjusting their life accordingly. There's no big we need to talk. No emotional confrontation. They simply reprogram the access levels in their world, and you're quietly downgraded to non-essential. I've seen this happen up close. A Capricorn woman I knew had a close friend who consistently crossed small lines, little manipulations, subtle disrespects. Nothing huge. Nothing obvious. But enough for Capricorn to take notes. Then one day, that friend showed up to a party, and realized she hadn't been invited. She asked. Capricorn said, "Oh, I thought we were on different pages now." No anger. No debate. Just a closed door that would never be reopened. Because for Capricorn, setting boundaries isn't about teaching you a lesson. It's about protecting their peace. They don't owe you closure. They don't owe you an explanation. They owe themselves safety, and you're now considered a risk. What makes it so devastating is how final it is. Capricorns rarely walk their decisions back. Once you're out, you're out. Not because they're unforgiving, but because they no longer feel safe with you. And Capricorn doesn't rebuild where the ground is unstable. Life lesson. True boundaries don't always come with warnings. Sometimes, the most powerful no is unspoken and irreversible. Capricorn teaches us that you don't have to yell to protect yourself. You can just stop giving people access to the parts of you they abused. And if you ever find yourself shut out by a Capricorn, don't ask what happened. Ask yourself what you did that made them go silent for good. Reason 7. The fortress of their inner world. You didn't just lose access. You lost the key. And the gate is sealed, forever. When a Capricorn is betrayed or manipulated, they don't just pull away temporarily. They begin a full emotional reconstruction, and you are no longer on the blueprint. While other signs might scream, cry, or seek closure, Capricorn goes inward. Not to collapse, but to fortify. They start rebuilding their inner world like a fortress. Every layer of vulnerability becomes reinforced. Every soft entry point gets bricked over. Every emotional doorway you once walked through, now locked, sealed, and buried. And the chilling part? They're doing it while still smiling at you. You'll think things are fine. You'll think, they're still talking to me, it's all good. But what you don't see is that, inside, you've already been evicted. Capricorn is a master of emotional compartmentalization. They'll let you stay in their outer circle, professionally, socially, maybe even casually. But you'll never be allowed back into their core. The place where they trusted you. The space where they once allowed you to see them unguarded. It's gone, and they're not rebuilding it for you. I once heard a Capricorn man describe it perfectly after a betrayal. "I'm not angry. I'm just finished. You're now part of the version of me that doesn't exist anymore." That's what most people don't understand. Capricorn doesn't hold grudges. They hold revisions. They revise your role. They rewrite the relationship. And they relocate you from inner ally to emotional outsider. It's not punishment. It's protection. They don't rebuild walls to hurt you, they build them to never get hurt by you again. And once those walls are up, they're not made of temporary emotions. They're built from Saturn's stone, heavy, ancient, and unmovable. So you may still see them. You may still talk. But the person you once knew, the one who let you in, trusted you, opened their soul, they've stepped behind the gate. And you will not be allowed back in. Life lesson. Trust is a sacred space, not a revolving door. Capricorn teaches us that when someone violates the heart, you don't just patch the wound. You redesign the entire system that let them in. If you feel distance from someone who used to care deeply, don't assume they're cold. They may have just built a fortress and placed your name permanently outside its walls. Reason 8. Detachment with surgical precision. They didn't block you. They didn't curse you. They just stopped caring, completely. One of the most unnerving experiences you can have after manipulating a Capricorn is realizing they're still in your life. But they're not really there. They still say hello. They still respond to emails. They might even laugh at your jokes. But something is off. You can't feel them anymore. That's not by accident. That's Capricorn's emotional detachment at work, and it's surgical. Unlike signs that explode and then get over it, Capricorn doesn't need to cut ties loudly. They just shut off the emotional circuit, quietly, methodically, and completely. It's not dramatic. It's not theatrical. It's precise, like flipping a switch inside their heart. They don't wish you harm. They're not obsessed with payback. They're simply done feeling anything toward you. This isn't temporary coldness. This is permanent reprogramming. And what makes it so unsettling is the contrast. They're still functional. Still composed. They didn't ghost you. They didn't delete your number. They just removed their emotional investment with zero announcement. I once spoke with a Capricorn man whose longtime business partner tried to gaslight him during a financial dispute. After he discovered the truth, he didn't confront him. He didn't lash out. He kept working alongside him for another 6 months. But if you looked closely, you'd notice. No eye contact during key conversations. No invitations to personal events. No trace of the warmth that used to exist between them. When the time was right, he walked away from the partnership, clean, quiet, unbothered. And when someone asked, "How could you just walk away like that?" he simply said, "I already left. A long time ago." That's how Capricorn detachment works. They're not trying to punish you, they're just reallocating their energy. To them, emotions are an investment. And once they determine it's not yielding anything worthwhile, they pull it. Like a CEO cutting off a failing division. No hard feelings. Just business. And they'll redirect that energy toward people who do respect them, love them, value them without a second thought. Meanwhile, you're left standing there, wondering why the connection feels hollow. Why their eyes don't light up when you speak. Why their care has turned into pure courtesy. The truth. It's not that they're pretending to be distant. They are already gone. Life lesson. Not every goodbye is spoken out loud. Sometimes, the most permanent exits are silent ones. Capricorn reminds us that emotional detachment isn't cruelty, it's clarity. They don't detach to punish you. They detach to protect their peace. So if you feel them fading, they already let go. They just haven't told you because they don't need to. Reason 9. When respect is broken, you're already gone. With Capricorn, it's not about whether you hurt them. It's about whether you disrespected them. And once that line is crossed, there's no going back. Capricorn doesn't need you to agree with them. They don't even need you to like them. But what they demand, quietly, unwaveringly, absolutely, is respect. Respect is the foundation of every relationship in a Capricorn's life. Not just romantic or professional, but spiritual. Because for Capricorn, respect is the currency of truth. It's how they measure intention. It's how they gauge whether someone is safe to trust. So when you manipulate a Capricorn, the damage isn't just emotional, it's moral. It breaks a core law in their inner world. It tells them, clearly and irrevocably, you do not see me as an equal. You do not value what I bring. You do not respect who I am. And once that conclusion is drawn, they don't give you a warning. They don't hold a vote. They reassign you. You become someone who cannot be trusted. Someone who does not understand honor. And someone who, from this point forward, will be treated accordingly with distance, caution, and containment. There's no angry confrontation. No meltdown. Just a sharp, silent shift. Capricorn doesn't scream, "You disrespected me." They just act like you no longer matter because to them, you don't. Not in the same way. Not in a way that involves closeness or risk. I've seen this play out in real time. A Capricorn friend once discovered that her cousin, someone she trusted deeply, had mocked her ambition and work ethic behind her back. It wasn't even a direct betrayal. Just petty gossip. But for Capricorn, it was enough. Because it revealed a disrespect for her effort, something she considered sacred. She didn't argue. She didn't call her out. She just stopped showing up. Family gatherings? Declined. Birthday wishes? A polite text. Emotional connection? Gone. And when asked why she distanced herself, she said, "Love is optional, but respect is not." That's the truth about Capricorn. They don't demand devotion. They demand integrity. And once that's gone, so are they. What's even more devastating? Once they realize you disrespected them, they begin to re-examine the entire relationship. Every laugh, every moment of trust, every time they were vulnerable around you suddenly gets reinterpreted through a new lens. They don't just see what you did. They question who you really were all along. And once they see the pattern, there is no reset button. Because to Capricorn, respect is binary, either it's there or it isn't. Life lesson. We often worry about hurting people's feelings, but forget how deep the wound of disrespect truly runs. Capricorn teaches us that trust is not just about honesty, it's about how you treat someone's dignity. And once that dignity is dismissed, the relationship can't be repaired. So if a Capricorn suddenly becomes distant, don't ask what you said. Ask yourself, did I make them feel small? Because if the answer is yes, they've already made their exit with quiet, unshakable conviction. Reason 10, self-sufficiency. They don't need you to heal. You thought they'd fall apart without you. Instead, they leveled up. Quietly, completely, without ever calling your name. One of the most sobering realizations you'll have after trying to manipulate a Capricorn is that they didn't need you to begin with. Capricorn may have let you in. They may have leaned on you, trusted you, included you in their plans, shared their thoughts, even made space for you in their carefully built world. But once you cross them, once you betray, deceive, or manipulate them, they don't fall apart. They rebuild without you. And the way they do it is what leaves people stunned. There are no breakdowns, no emotional spirals, no revenge meltdowns, just structure, strategy, stillness, and progress. Capricorn doesn't seek pity. They don't broadcast their healing. They don't need a circle of supporters telling them they were wronged. Instead, they retreat into self-sufficiency, into the core strength that Saturn has instilled in them since birth. They take back control over their emotions. They find new sources of strength. They develop new skills, new plans, new relationships, ones that are tighter, more discerning, and betrayal-proof. You thought they'd miss you, but they've already replaced you with competence. I once watched a Capricorn woman go through a devastating breakup. Her partner had been manipulating her emotionally for months. When she found out, she said nothing. She moved out within 2 weeks, started therapy, joined a gym, applied for a new job in another city, and got it. 3 months later, while he was still posting vague stories about heartbreak and regret, she was settling into a new apartment with a better salary, better peace of mind, and no trace of bitterness. Not because she didn't care, but because she didn't need to stay broken in order to prove anything. That's the power of Capricorn. They don't just heal, they upgrade. They understand that dependency is a liability, and when someone betrays them, it activates something primal. I will never let someone be in a position to do that to me again. And they mean it. They begin quietly closing every emotional loophole, every financial weakness, every social tie that left them vulnerable, not with bitterness, but with brilliant efficiency. What's even more powerful? They don't need to make a public statement. You'll just notice one day they're glowing, thriving, focused. And your name? Nowhere in their progress. Life lesson. True power isn't proven by how loudly you suffer. It's revealed by how silently you rebuild. Capricorn teaches us that you don't need an audience to rise. You only need structure, discipline, and the decision to never depend on someone who treated your worth like it was optional. If you manipulated a Capricorn thinking they wouldn't survive without you, take a second look. Because they're already 10 steps ahead. And they're building a life where you're not even a footnote. Reason 11. Patience that outlasts your games. You thought enough time had passed. But Capricorn was still watching. In a world obsessed with instant reactions and quick fixes, Capricorn is playing a completely different game, one governed by cosmic time. Most people can't wait. They want justice now. Closure now. Answers now. But not Capricorn. Capricorn knows that the longer you wait, the clearer the truth becomes. They don't just practice patience. They embody it. You might think you got away with it. Months pass. Maybe even years. You assume they've moved on. That your manipulation was forgotten. That you're in the clear. But Capricorn doesn't work on your timeline. They work on Saturn's clock, and Saturn doesn't rush anything. Not karma. Not consequences. Not healing. Not truth. They don't chase closure. They wait for alignment. I once met a Capricorn man in the publishing world. A former collaborator had taken credit for one of his ideas and used it to secure a major deal. Everyone told him to fight it, to go public, to create a storm. He did none of those things. He smiled. He congratulated the person. And then, he waited. 2 years later, that collaborator's reputation began to unravel. Behind-the-scenes behaviors came to light. The industry turned cold. And the Capricorn? He released a new body of work, bigger, better, with undeniable proof of his original vision. When asked why he never fought back, he said, "Because I knew time would reveal everything. It always does." That's how Capricorn thinks. They're not out to destroy you today. They don't care about making you look bad tomorrow. They're watching for the moment when your own patterns reveal themselves, and when that moment comes, you won't be able to rewrite the story. Because Capricorn didn't forget. They just let you forget that they remembered. What makes their patience so terrifying is that it's not fueled by emotion. They're not waiting because they're hurt. They're waiting because they know that everything, even justice, has its season. And when the time is right, when your mask slips, when the foundation you built with lies begins to crack, Capricorn doesn't have to say "I told you so." The silence will say it for them. Life lesson. The truth doesn't always reveal itself on demand. Sometimes, it arrives on Saturn's schedule. And when it does, it hits harder because no one sees it coming. Capricorn reminds us that real strength isn't how fast you react. It's how long you can wait for the right moment to act. Or to say nothing at all and simply watch the world catch up to what you already knew. Reason 12. They let karma handle what you can't escape. Capricorn doesn't chase justice. They become a space where karma delivers it with perfect timing. This is the part no one sees coming. You lied. You manipulated. You played the game. And when Capricorn didn't react, you thought they were weak. Passive. Easy to fool. But here's the truth. They weren't waiting for a chance to get back at you. They were letting the universe do its work. Because Capricorn, more than any other sign, understands one timeless principle. What you do, comes back. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of karma, structure, and long-term consequence. They don't just believe in justice. They trust in it deeply. So when someone betrays them, they don't always need revenge. They don't always need exposure. They don't even need closure. They simply stand back and let karma unfold. They've seen it happen too many times to doubt it. The manipulator who thrives for a while, and then loses everything. The liar who gets away with it, until their next lie collapses the whole web. The betrayer who rises fast, and then crashes harder than anyone expected. Capricorn doesn't celebrate your fall. They just see it coming long before you do. Because when they walked away, it wasn't in defeat. It was in wisdom. They knew the energy you put into the world would eventually turn around and find you. They didn't need to rush it. They just needed to remain in integrity. That's why so many people who've wronged a Capricorn eventually come back, not with confidence, but with confusion. Why is everything falling apart for me? Why am I blocked at every turn? And Capricorn doesn't have to answer. Because they already did when they chose not to chase you. That was the karmic permission slip. That was the moment balance began to restore itself, quietly, but undeniably. And here's the cosmic irony. Many manipulators don't even notice that Capricorn was the turning point. Because they were too busy watching the Capricorn walk away. To realize what followed them out the door. Karma. Life lesson. Not every injustice needs a loud response. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stay silent and stay aligned. Capricorn teaches us that when your hands are clean, you don't need to punish anyone. You just need to step back and let the laws of the universe take care of the rest. Because at the end of the day, no lie survives Saturn. And no manipulation outruns karma. Final conclusion, the Capricorn doesn't react. They realign the universe. So now you've seen it, the 12 undeniable reasons why trying to manipulate a Capricorn doesn't end with an argument. It ends with a shift in your entire reality. They don't need to yell. They don't need to prove you wrong. They don't need to slam doors. Because Capricorn understands something most people never will. Truth doesn't need noise. It just needs time. And when you lie to them, deceive them, or try to twist their world for your own gain, they don't play your game. They change the entire board. And suddenly, you're not even a player anymore. Capricorn's strength isn't just in their silence. It's in their structure, their patience, their ability to walk away without a scene and let karma, character, and time expose everything. You see, they don't respond to betrayal with chaos. They respond with clarity. And once they've seen who you really are, they never unsee it. So if you're lucky enough to be close to a Capricorn, honor that closeness. Because once they cut you out, they don't circle back. They simply evolve and you become a chapter in a book they've already finished. Final life lesson. Capricorn doesn't seek revenge. They seek balance. And once that balance is disrupted by dishonesty or manipulation, They don't fix the relationship. They fix themselves by removing you from their sacred space. They remind us that the highest form of power isn't in controlling others. It's in being unshakable, unbothered, and untouched by petty games. Call to action for Zodiac Secrets Revealed. If you've ever witnessed this kind of Capricorn energy, if you've felt the chill of their silence or the strength of their boundaries, or if you are a Capricorn who's done this yourself, leave a comment below with the words, "I trust Saturn's timing," so we know you're one of us, grounded, wise, and immune to nonsense. And don't forget to subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed, where we uncover the cosmic truth behind every zodiac sign, decode the mysteries of astrology, and reveal the spiritual power you were born with. More revelations are coming. But for now, remember, Capricorn doesn't punish you. They let the universe do it, and it never misses.